The morning started like any other, with golden sunlight spilling across my garden, birds chirping as if nothing could disturb the calm, yet a sense of dread gnawed at me because Karen Whitmore, the president of Willowbrook's HOA, had been watching me for weeks, her sharp eyes hidden behind perfectly styled hair and a smile that never reached them. And as I noticed her sleek black SUV parked across the street, engine humming quietly, clipboard in hand, I knew the day would mark another escalation in her relentless obsession to control everything I owned, everything I worked for, and everything I cherished. It had started 6 weeks earlier, when St. Mary's Hospital offered me a 5-year contract to supply organic vegetables, enough to expand my small farm and honor the dream Lisa, my late wife, had whispered about before cancer took her, a dream of healing through food and nurturing community. But to Karen, the idea of me leaving Willowbrook was intolerable, and from that moment, my life transformed into a non-stop battle against false violations, petty harassment, and intimidation so meticulously planned it was almost surgical, as if she relished turning every minor rule into a weapon. That morning, I stood by the basil plant Lisa had left behind, still vibrant after 3 years, the aroma carrying memories of her laugh and warmth, reminding me why I could not surrender to fear. I hammered the for sale sign into the lawn and felt a shiver as Karen emerged from across the street, moving with an eerie, deliberate grace, calling my name in that saccharine tone that always meant trouble was coming, her perfectly manicured nails clicking against the clipboard as she examined the new sign, reminding me of all the rules, bylaws, and sections I was supposedly violating, even as I tried to explain the hospital contract, polite yet firm. Knowing full well that she hated me for winning a small lawsuit years ago, proving that vegetable gardens increased property value when she had tried to ban them. Within hours, her first strike landed, a bright orange violation notice on my door, citing my produce truck for being parked in my own driveway, a fine of $500, backed by rules that had never been enforced before, yet now weaponized to block my plans. When I recorded her collecting the fine, she hissed under her breath, promising that I would never leave Willowbrook, that she knew people who owed her favors, and that she would make sure of it. 2 days later, a potential buyer for my house withdrew after Karen's email campaign spread false claims about decades of violations, photoshopped evidence, and accusations that made me appear a deadbeat homeowner, a web of lies designed to crush my opportunity and honor Lisa's legacy. Yet I remembered her words, fight with wisdom, not fists, and began documenting every email, every interaction, every false claim, knowing that Karen's overreach would eventually become her undoing. But the escalation didn't stop there. Moving companies cancelled after receiving legal threats from Karen, and Mike Stevens, her newest accomplice, parked his beat-up white van outside my home, lurking, photographing, and creating a constant sense of surveillance, while Maria Rodriguez, a quiet HOA board member and bakery owner, approached me with a notebook full of evidence, proving that Karen had systematically terrorized families and forced them to sell their homes at below-market prices for her brother to profit. A pattern repeated over years with perfect precision. We devised a plan. I would continue preparations for moving, acting as bait, while Maria secretly gathered evidence, capturing every illegal tow, every intimidation tactic, every false complaint. Soon Karen overreached spectacularly, trying to tow my truck, only to be stopped by a familiar face, a farmer's market customer whose life my vegetables had saved, highlighting the absurdity and audacity of her vendetta. When she called an emergency HOA meeting to enforce an illegal 90-day moving restriction, Maria live-streamed the meltdown, exposing her threats, spittle, and even a concealed switchblade to over 500 viewers, shattering the fear Karen had meticulously cultivated. And when she retaliated by vandalizing my garden and leaving a red rose with a sinister note, we realized the depth of her obsession, the psychological warfare she had perfected, and the extent of her corruption, which now included embezzlement, shell companies, and fraudulent fines that financially pressured residents into selling. The stakes reached a terrifying peak when Karen falsely reported my son Nathan, an off-duty police officer, as an armed intruder, prompting 5 patrol cars to surround my house, weapons drawn, while Nathan remained calm, showing identification, and Sergeant Rodriguez, arriving at just the right moment, confirmed his identity, preventing disaster. Karen's web unraveled in an instant as her hired stalker Mike was confronted with his restraining order history and caught in his illegal surveillance, while Maria's evidence revealed the full scope of HOA corruption, including stolen funds, manipulated property sales, and a conspiracy reaching city offices, police departments, and even a judge, exposing a criminal network far beyond Willowbrook. Karen's final act of aggression, assaulting my son, led to her arrest, her designer heels sinking into the tomato plants Lisa and I had nurtured, a poetic end to her tyranny, while Mike tripped over the decorative planters she had installed, her arrogance collapsing alongside her schemes. In the weeks that followed, federal investigations linked Karen's actions to larger real estate fraud, bribery, and racketeering, culminating in her conviction for embezzlement, conspiracy, tax evasion, and civil rights violations, her brother and accomplices exposed, and restitution ordered to every victim. Meanwhile, the community, once paralyzed by fear, rallied around Maria's leadership, restoring gardens, celebrating block parties, and transforming the HOA into a supportive, neighborly organization, proving that resilience, evidence, and courage could defeat even the most manipulative and vindictive powers. As I stood months later in my new greenhouse, watching thriving plants and grateful employees, including families displaced by Karen, I realized that the dream Lisa had planted in Basel had not only survived but multiplied, justice had been served, and community had been reborn from the ashes of fear and corruption, leaving a final, subtle reminder that those who sow destruction may find themselves trapped by their own designs, and that patience, wisdom, and integrity can harvest more than revenge ever could.